dinosaur music mentality going on, where everybody looks the same, everybody sounds the same. We're getting into that again, which is everything that punk rebelled against in the 70s. I think it's time for a revolution, a musical revolution of some sort. Someone's got to do something original here.
Into existence. People saw how Cobain was, who was very just like, you know, normal, and they saw that he wasn't like some larger-than-life person. I think a lot of people were able to relate to that sort of thing more than, you know, this big glamorous
Vince Neil, the Mötley Crüe vocalist whose offstage misadventures offered the era's most vivid example of 80s excess, also became a father. He continued to tour in support of his solo career, but found his life transformed by the birth of his daughter, Skylar.
I never wanted to go home. You know, because I loved being on the road so much. But then, you know, when she was born, you know, it was great to be home, and you know, you want to share in their life.
But that happiness was short-lived. Skylar was diagnosed with stomach cancer and died August 15th, 1995, at the age of 4. Vince wrote this song for her while she was in the hospital.
How's it going? My name is Brandon, and I'm Dirk, and we are Two Fifths with Incubus.
They're a band that for 20 years has made its own rules.
We are one of the best rock and roll bands to ever walk the earth.
Along the way, they've helped shape a generation.
You grew up in the 80s, you were learning your chops, and you listened to radio. You had to be somewhat influenced, or at least appalled by us.
Given a whole new meaning to live shows.
Lots of fire, bombs, blasts, sparks, flamethrowers, girls.
They're gonna get what they want, and they're gonna get what they...
Arrests,
Yeah.
riots,
lawsuits.
A theme song for strip clubs around the world. And they're not done yet.
Yeah, I mean, look at the Stones. You know, they're grandfathers. You know, and they're still rocking. You know, I don't see any reason why we can't either.
Join us for the next half hour as we go backstage, on stage, and on tour with rock's hottest heavy metal band as they promote their newest CD, New Tattoo. That's coming up next on Extreme Close-Up.
Hi everybody, the latest CD from those bad boys of rock, Mötley Crüe. You know, Mötley Crüe is an incredible band. They have survived for nearly 20 years. They've sold over 40 million record albums, and they have at least as many fans, if not more. And this is their very first effort without drummer Tommy Lee, and that takes some courage. And I have a little courage myself, so I'm going to wander in the tattoo parlor and maybe get a little mom written right there. Bob or someone special.
The album is pretty much a cross between Dr. Feelgood and Shout at the Devil, with mix, you know, screaming guitar lines and Nicky's great, you know, snotty lyrics.
New Tattoo is the group's first studio album in 3 years. For fans, it was a long time coming. For Mötley Crüe, it was about getting back to basics.
The last studio record that we did was a little bit of a departure, you know, from what we were doing before. And we really decided just to get right back into what we did best, which is your straight-ahead, full-blown rock and roll. And that's what this record's pretty much all about.
Hell on High Heels, the first track off the album, takes a tongue-in-cheek look at mankind's history, Mötley Crüe style.
It's got a real rawness to it, but still it's very fresh.
Hell on High Heels, just bass drums and guitar.
Even though the band had enjoyed successful sales with their previous studio album, Generation Swine, they hadn't had a great experience.
You know, there's been times when, like, I'll go in the studio and I just really not want to be there, just because
The last album we made was like that.
It was
we hated
exactly what I'm talking about.
We worked with this producer named Scott Humphrey who didn't really know what he was doing. And every time, like, we would leave and we'd have a song, and we'd all be like real excited about the song, and we'd come back the next day and all of a sudden it had like a funk feel.
So they decided that it was time to rediscover the original Mötley sound.
Guitars are loud, the drums are just going 100 miles an hour. And the producer that we're using, Mike Klink, has got a history of turning out great, amazing rock and roll records. So, I mean, this is probably the best I felt about a record since Feel Good.
And for newcomer Randy Castillo, who replaced Tommy Lee, this album is special for many reasons.
For me, it's going to be great because this is my first album with the band.
And last.
Yeah.
Oh, poor Randy. He's still
gonna start paying me.
Oh, damn.
Shit, we forgot something.
I knew we forgot something.
Yeah,
He's like, what do they call that in the
Been a year
biker gangs? The prospect.
Prospect.
He's the prospect. We still make him go get, we got to run and
I
get,
did my prospect. It's been a year now. So
get your patch.
the honeymoon's over, baby.
And of course, it wouldn't be a Mötley Crüe album without those song titles.
Great titles on this record. Treat Me Like the Dog That I Am.
We know we're kind of always getting in trouble. We're always bad dogs. We're always in the doghouse. So go ahead and treat me like the dog that I am. The song First Band on the Moon sort of represents the fact that it's gotten so politically correct and safe. And we were saying, you know, if we could go somewhere and start over, we would still be ourselves. And we would definitely wreck things, break things, blow things up, and still be Mötley Crüe.
And let's not forget the title track, New Tattoo.
The title track's a ballad, New Tattoo. A tattoo is part of your life. That will be with you forever. It's also like a new beginning. It's something new, a new part of your life also. That's kind of what this record represents.
But don't expect a straight answer from these guys when asked to sum New Tattoo up.
It's about pussy, cars, pussy,
Yeah.
and probably
Rock
And pornography.
and pornography, which is a step above. It's an art form. So we have one song about art,
Yeah.
Art who?
porno art.
Well, it sure sounds like fun, and I know that Mötley Crüe fans will not be disappointed. And don't you be disappointed thinking I haven't gotten that tattoo.
You go to the strip club and girls, girls, girls.
We'll also see what caused drummer Tommy Lee to quit the band. Welcome back to Extreme Close-Up and our look at New Tattoo, the new CD by Mötley Crüe. Right now I'm standing in front of one of Hollywood's largest rock landmarks, the Whiskey A Go-Go. And it's right here that, like many bands, Mötley Crüe first broke out into the rock scene.
Mötley Crüe has been described as a band that defines both musicianship and showmanship. They personified the 80s with flashy music videos, big stage shows, sex, drugs, and most importantly, rock and roll.
Together we write great music.
Mötley has always delivered.
We are one of the best rock and roll bands to ever walk the earth.
In 1981, friends Nikki Sixx, Mick Mars, and original drummer Tommy Lee formed Mötley Crüe. Their goal, to play rock music like their heroes.
The bands I dug that were like that were the Pistols, you know, the Ramones, early Stones, loved early Aerosmith.
But like all rock bands, they needed a vocalist.
And I said, we need that little blonde guy in that band Rock Candy. And I went, I don't care if he can sing, I don't care if he can do anything. The way that he had that audience going, that's the guy we need.
With Vince Neil on board, Mötley Crüe was complete. 7 months later, they recorded their debut album, Too Fast for Love, and sold 20,000 copies. Suddenly, it was clear. Not only was Mötley Crüe the newest star on the rock music horizon, they were about to kick ass. Literally.
We got in a fight with this old man. We were standing up there for about 5 hours with torches and with our lipstick on, and this guy was just giving us problems, and Nicky ended up saying, well, just because we wear lipstick don't mean we can't kick your ass.
With their outrageous live shows and music videos that pushed the envelope, Mötley Crüe closed out the 80s with the honor of being recognized as the band that helped define heavy metal rock for the MTV generation. Their music would also become a staple in strip clubs.
Go to Japan and go to a strip club and girls, girls, girls.
Now, nearly 20 years later, the band has survived the changes in the music scene and a much publicized breakup. But those 5 years apart isn't something the band likes to talk about.
It just really took me and Nicky sitting in a room together and saying, you know what, everything else doesn't really matter. Let's just make some music.
But this wouldn't be the last time the foundations of Mötley Crüe would be rocked. In 1998, Tommy Lee and his wife, former Baywatch star Pamela Anderson, hit the headlines with a much-publicized marital split, which ended with a jail term for Tommy.
Right now, I'm just in complete hell. Pamela's making every possible issue difficult. She's making it completely impossible for me to see my children on the road.
And even though his bandmates supported him, the chaos in Tommy's life soon began to affect the group.
Nicky was real supportive, and Mick and those guys would come down and visit me. We talk a lot by phone. But I can sense their frustration. We talk about it, you know. They don't like getting asked about all this either. It's like, oh man, not again.
Then in 1999, just before going on tour, Tommy decided to quit the band.
It's really not as big a deal as I'm sure some people would like it to be. You know, there's not so much drama attached. It's really about a band's been together for 20 years. We do something. We have a stamp of something we do, like AC/DC or Led Zeppelin. We can't do something that is not Mötley Crüe. Whatever we do, it's got to be Mötley Crüe. If we do other things, musically, we do them independently, and so he's choosing to do one of those independently. He's got our support.
Now in search of a replacement, the crew asked fans via the internet for suggestions, and it was former Ozzy Osbourne drummer Randy Castillo whose name came up the most.
It fit like a glove, because I've always been a fan of the band, and like, you know, I did Vince's tour, and some of the music on that tour was Mötley music. So it wasn't like I wasn't too unfamiliar with the stuff, and, you know, so I was ready to roll.
And so, after the success of their first tour and a new lineup, Mötley Crüe headed to the studio to record their first album in 3 years. It's appropriately called New Tattoo.
The album is, we kind of had to go backwards to go forwards with this record. It's very, very old Mötley-ish. And so, I mean, a lot of people say it's a cross between Shout the Devil and Dr. Feelgood. You know, it's got, you know, great guitar riffs, you know, of Mick's and the snotty lyric of Nicky's stuff, and just my whiny voice. And, you know, put those things together and you have Mötley Crüe.
Wow, they sure do have their own sound. It's also interesting to note that Mötley Crüe also has their own record label called Mötley Records. Stick around because we've got lots more Mötley Crüe to come, like what it's like to take a record album out on tour.
Playing live is the heart and soul of what we do.
And we'll also catch up with some of those die-hard fans. That's Tower Records on Sunset Boulevard in Los Angeles. You know, making a record album is not really enough. Not when you have over 40 million fans like Mötley Crüe does. In fact, rock and roll music is all about playing it loud and playing it live. So even before their new CD, New Tattoo, was released, Mötley Crüe was already taking it on the road.
While the fans at Universal Amphitheater in Los Angeles loved the supporting bands opening for the crew, there's no doubt who they were there to see.
I love you!
Okay, don't let rock die, man.
I love this deal.
No, we're not going to talk about Tommy Lee.
The crew rules! Are you going to throw your underwear on stage?
No.
No? No? You're not going to do that?
I'm not wearing any.
She'll throw her underwear if you give us backstage passes.
For the band, touring and playing live is the best part.
Being on tour is like being on vacation. That's all the other
Yeah, compared to all the work.
all the other stuff is really a lot of work. Writing the songs, the band rehearsing, the band recording, rearranging songs, you know, vocals, guitar parts, editing. I mean, it's a lot of work. And once we get on tour, it's kind of all fun and games.
It's a rush. I mean, it's better than any drug. It's
The most addictive thing in the world.
And Vince Neil agrees.
Playing live is the heart and soul of what we do. And once the lights come on and the first note hits, you know, you just forget about everything and you're just having a blast.
Touring also allows the band to stay in touch with their fans who expect to hear more than just the new album.
You know, we're bringing the streets of Hollywood around the country and hopefully around the world. And of course, we got to do the old songs, you know, the ones that the fans actually come out to see. I mean, if we didn't do like Home Sweet Home or Shout the Devil, we'd get lynched.
But don't be fooled by the song title. It's never the same old situation when Motley's on stage.
I don't think there's really any surprises when you go see a Motley show. I mean, it's you know it's going to be, you know, something crazy, and that's what we put out. I mean, there's lots of fire, bombs, blasts, sparks, flamethrowers, girls.
They're going to get what they want, and they're going to get what they...
Arrests,
Yeah.
riots,
lawsuits.
They're going to get what they paid for.
trouble.
And girls are exactly what Mötley Crüe are all about. Only the girl part took on a whole new meaning when the tour was about to hit L.A. Drummer Randy Castillo got sick, and a replacement drummer was needed in a hurry, and surprise, it turned out to be a girl. 24-year-old Sam Maloney, the drummer from Courtney Love's band Hole, came to the rescue.
We've gotten all the suggestions of all the rock dudes, you know, to be the drummer to fill in for Randy until he got better. And we just thought that was kind of predictable.
Even though Mötley Crüe was all about girls and sex, the guys were a little worried that Sam might be offended. Not that they toned things down.
We make it worse.
Make it worse. It's funny, we were sitting there rehearsing, and I have this bass, and it's just covered with pornography, and everything about the band is so chauvinistic. And I looked at Sam and I go, "Are we chauvinist?" And she goes, "Yeah." Yeah, the lyrics, the stage set, just the way we are. But that's really not what it's about. It's about musicianship.
It's all tongue-in-cheek anyway. It's
Yeah.
all in the name of fun. So I'm having a great time, and so are they.
And of course, the guys couldn't resist joking about their new on-stage lineup, even if it is temporary.
Well, you know what? I mean, it's really strange because there's 6 people on stage, you know, including 2 background singers. So now you have half girls and half guys on stage.
We're like the Brady
a little
Bunch.
scary. Yeah. Right. Are you Greg? No, you're Greg.
I want to be Marcia.
No? Yeah. Yeah.
Cindy. You're Cindy.
I'm changing my name to Sin.
All joking aside, the guys admitted that playing in their hometown can be a little nerve-wracking.
Doing a show in Los Angeles is a lot different than doing a show anywhere else. Because when you're doing it doing the show at home, you know, I unplug my phone, I don't answer my cell phone, because everybody wants tickets. And everybody's friend wants a ticket.
And everyone's your friend
And
all of a
everyone's your
sudden.
friend, yeah. You know, you're not my friend. Oh, don't you remember me from high school?
Okay, so it wouldn't be a rock concert without the fans throwing their underwear, but you would be surprised to find out what this band does with them.
She's got it all.
She has like 12 suitcases, and it's just bras.
I'm going to auction them off at Sotheby's after the tours.
We do have a road case at our Mötley Crüe warehouse that still is just packed with underwear and bras from the 80s.
We used to have them hanging in the tour bus.
Like trophies.
A warehouse full of underwear. Well, I guess people collect all that. I'm in business. Well, you've seen the fans, you've seen the concert and all the action, but did you know that while the band is on stage, there's a whole other party going on behind the scenes?
Getting backstage isn't easy. Still, everyone has their trick.
You get in, first of all.
I guess we're just Well, I'm done. We had friends that hooked us up tonight.
But according to Nick Spinapanato, backstage manager, being blonde is not all it requires.
A famous line in LA is, "Do you know who I am?" Another thing, you know, various things are offered, but we run a tight ship here, and you need to have a legitimate pass, and that's the only way you can go back, regardless of boob size.
And according to Ashley Smith, Mötley's publicist, handling both the band and those determined fans is all in a day's work.
Ultimately, it's a job. Like, I'm here to work with them and work for them, and I try not to let their other issues kind of affect what I do with them. You know, but it's always interesting. You know, I've had women come up to me in shows, offer me money for my laminates, offer me, you know, all sorts of favors.
But Ashley admits that in the beginning, being a woman and handling a group like Mötley Crüe was a culture shock for her.
It's definitely shocking, because I've worked with many other artists before, but these guys are certainly one of the biggest and definitely internationally known for their antics and their music and what they've done on stage and off stage. And so being a female and traveling with them and working with them always has its interesting points.
But even as much as they love to tour and are excited about their new CD, the crew have a few more surprises in store, namely a tell-all book.
We're not going to censor the book, and there's stuff that would really freak you out that we've done and been involved in, and things that people have done in the industry that it is really a tell-all book. It's really a true thing, and I think it's going to be interesting for fans. I think it's going to be interesting for people who are in the industry, and interesting for musicians, you know, how we started and where we all came from. So there's a lot to be told.
It's hard to pack a 20-year career in a 1-hour TV show.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff there.
A lot of stuff, indeed. Despite the ups and downs, breaking up, the drugs, the run-ins with the law, and the loss of a founding member, Mötley Crüe has proven they have the staying power to survive nearly 2 decades, and the loyalty of their fans to become icons of the heavy metal rock scene.
I think we're just really lucky to be doing what we love, and still can look to the future and go, man, this thing, you know, can just keep going forever.
Everybody, thanks for watching Extreme Close-Up. I'm Suzanne Senna. We'll see you next time.
It's funny when you go out to a club and you see a band playing the songs, you know, like I said, we'll do a show in some city, and sometimes we'll go out to a club afterwards and you see a band on stage playing half the songs that you just finished playing that night, you know, or that you wrote. It's pretty cool.
On stage, but what happens when the spotlight shines on their musical knowledge and not their musical skill? Chris and Malia takes note as the guys compete on Rock and Roll Jeopardy.
Hey, Ben, how's it going, man? Pleasure to meet you. All right, good to meet you, too. How you doing? I'm doing good. Good, man, good.
Why don't you kick some ass here today on the show? I'm going, oh, man.
No,
I was going to call up on Saturday and go, I think I'm a little sick today, you know?
Mark McGrath from Sugar Ray is a 2-time champion on the show. And that's why Mötley Crüe's Vince Neil is a little intimidated.
Hopefully I won't look like a complete idiot. I mean, an incomplete idiot's fine, but not a complete idiot.
Foreigners, Mick Jones isn't so worried.
I'm right there. I just had somebody lent me the history of rock and roll, the Billboard stuff, and I just put that under the pillow last night. Hope to get some knowledge by osmosis.
Let's light up the board and get going.
Survivor host Jeff Probst has left the island behind and come back to his roots, Rock and Roll Jeopardy. He's hosted this show for 3 years and says no matter what these guys say, they want to win.
Egos? Come on, they want to win, like everyone. So sure, they play it off, oh, I should have known that. No clue.
There's definitely some competition in the air today, although all of these guys agree that it doesn't really matter who wins because all of the proceeds will go to charity. But before they can win money for their cause, they've got to win the game, and Mark knows he's the favorite.
We only got a 40-minute set tonight, so we can't pull all the tricks out of the bag, but you come see the Cottonmouth Kings live on tour, but you're going to get everything. Pakalika right now, he's in his oxygen tank right now. Tommy Lee's in the house.
Just staring at me, please. Locals right, they was in a Range Rover. Look over my shoulder, I put them all over. They got out the car and stepped to my side. I said, hello ladies, let's take a ride. I'm Johnny Richter, that's P-Lo the man. Daddy X is the one that's driving the van. So climb on in and don't be shy. We're gonna close the doors and let the game be.
Crown champion of the world, this is a title match. You understand that?
Let's do it.
Ooh, yeah.
Let's get ready to rumble.
Star Savannah, but also the kid from Texas, Shay.
I want to tell you of a dream I had last night. Be there. So I got very excited, of course, and when I showed up, about half the people at the party were naked.
In Hollywood, rock stars and porn stars often play together, but rarely produce stable relationships. Rolling Stone writer Peter Wilkinson.
You're talking about two communities that share certain qualities. There's a certain rebelliousness, a certain uninhibited character. And in a sense, I think porn actresses could be considered exalted groupies. And from the rock star perspective, I think there's probably a certain aspect of conquering. And if you're not a porn girl, that's validates you as a sexual soldier in some way.
In summer 1991, Savannah thought she found a rock star who wanted more than a conquest. Romance blossomed after Gina Fine unselfishly arranged a date for Savannah with Mötley Crüe frontman Vince Neil.
She was beautiful. I loved everything about her. She was gorgeous, great in bed. There's like nothing she wouldn't try or do.
I told him several times, don't hurt her, don't tell her that you want to have a relationship with her if you don't mean it, because she doesn't need to hear that. Then I would hear from her that he said, let's start looking for houses, pick out any house you want, and, Gina can have her own room.
In August, Neil took Savannah to Hawaii. Then he gave her some bad news.
I think that she thought that we were boyfriend and girlfriend, but I was going through divorce at the time, and I think she maybe thought it was a little more serious than it really was, but we were more like parting buddies.
Neil dumped Savannah without even a goodbye. The pattern of rejection that marred Savannah's life had once again resurfaced.
She was heartbroken for a while and picked herself up very quickly and moved.
Slash.
Hi, sweetie, it's Slash, and I just got back from rehearsal, and it went really great.
Rolling Stone writer Peter Wilkinson.
Savannah told friends that he treated her in a sweet way, and that he treated her in a way that she hadn't been treated before. She seemed to be in love.
But on April 3rd, 1992, 21-year-old Savannah treated...